Hello and welcome, I'm Liam the Music Reviewer, and Scotland gets a pretty bad rep, but we've got horrible diets, race sectarianism, ties to the slave trade, that accent, Jerry Cinnamon, the BBC Social, that's quite a lot actually, come to think of off the top of my head, but we're not all that bad, America and England, you guys always get told, your music's so great, but you know what, the rest of us, we have some good music. We had the Scottish Album of the Year Awards just earlier this month, and I thought what better time than to talk about 10 essential Scottish albums, ones that I think are worth both your time and your money. I've had to admit some artists from this due to the fact that I've only got 10 spots for it. Some of the obvious ones you're probably thinking of, Biffy Clyro, already done a 40-minute video on them, they don't need any further attention from me. Belle and Sebastian and Franz Ferdinand I think already get quite a fair bit of acclaim and kind of commercial attention as well. I don't think they would benefit to be put on your radar. And albums like Psycho Candy, quite critically acclaimed, you might think that it would be worth putting on here as an essential listen. I don't really like that album all that much, which is why it's not here. Plenty of other acts that I've not mentioned, like Teenage Fan Club, Churches, Twilight Sad, a fair few, but if there's any acts, maybe even the ones that I've mentioned there, or otherwise that you think should be on a list like this, then let me know in the comments, because I'm sure there's plenty, so much so that I could probably make a list like this next year as well. But without further ado, let's get this list started. And also, I wanted to cover Boards of Canada, but I would just end up talking in onomatopoeias. That's not that fun. But let's get on. Let's get on. Honestly, this album right here is an indie rating music user's wet dream. A Scottish act heavily inspired by Belle and Sebastian, featuring some help from members of Mogwai, Conor Oberst of Bright Eyes fame. Yeah, already kind of spoiled in that regard, but I think Arab Strap managed to kind of like build on that already tantalising promise that I've just listed there. With a name like Monday at the Hugging Pint, you can kind of assume what this album might follow, but I really do think that Aidan Moffat did a good job of kind of stepping into those shoes, kind of finding all the wee nuances of those kind of folk that you would bump into at a pub, but he shows the self-awareness and just a nice attitude that I think somebody could easily kind of come across as kind of like pompous or condescending when kind of detailing characters like this. And that's one thing this record never is. It's never needlessly condescending. It's really just littered with great lyricism and great wee stories as well. You've got the drunk at the bar who is eager to be cuckolded by this person just so they can feel something. You've got the aptly titled fucking little bastards. Those kind of folk that are coming into the pub just trying to look for a fight, the kind of people you might meet at Firewater that have their trousers all up all the way so you can see their socks and they're putting on Definitely Maybe on the jukebox. It does paint a very kind of strong picture, a strong painting that never feels too shallow either. Like, I really do have to hand it to the band for this. If you can't afford a ticket to Scotland, then just chuck this album on and you'll feel transported to Sauchiehall Street on a Friday night. It really is that impressive. I'm too much of a scaredy cat at the moment to go outside my house at night time, but if I was ever to do so, Hats would be one of my go-to choices by quite some margin. Whether it be the ethereal opener over the hillside, or just the undeniable glimmering beauty of something like Downtown Lights, this album just leaves me speechless a lot of the times whenever I've chucked it on. It genuinely is nothing short of being stunning. And despite how dreamlike a lot of these songs are, there's something so solid about them. Like, they're just so well detailed that it's impossible not to find yourself like infatuated with them and to just find yourself living in these fully realised soundscapes. Hats is a living, breathing world, is bittersweet as it is romantic. It's easily one of the best 1980s albums. It's also just one of the best sophistopop, synth pop, art pop, ambient pop, all the pops. It's one of the best just pop releases ever, and I love it, and I hope you guys will love it too if you give it a chance. I've always found it a bit odd that when it comes to talking about talented Scottish women in music, of which there are many, that Shane Campbell just never seems to get paid her dues just all seems to get a little bit overlooked. All it takes is one listen of Lloyd I'm Ready to Be Heartbroken to just really be taken aback by how impressive the songwriting is, like just the beautiful musical passages throughout. They just feel so alive and warm and just wonderful, and that's like contrasted by how sharp-witted and melancholic a lot of the lyrics can be as well. It's quite funny as well. It's definitely got a personality and a depth to it. Those traits are just present across the entirety of Let's Get Out of This Country, and it's what makes it stand out as being one of the best indie pop albums of the noughties. Belle and Sebastian aren't going to be in this list, like I said already, but I do think that when it came to Camera Obscura during their early years, it was quite evident that they were one of many acts that were inspired by them. But when it comes to this record right here, I really do think they managed to kind of like make their own claim to the twee pop throne of the North. I think they just made a really great effort, and it's one that's stuck by me for many, many years. If there's any record on this list that you don't recognise, it will probably be this one from Paisley Boys, Closed Lobsters. There was an abundance of jangle pop during the 80s thanks to one quiffy, in hindsight, racist. But I do think these boys on Foxhead Stalk This Land just managed to avoid drowning and getting lost in all this rotten rubbish thanks to the fact it's a pretty fun release. There's definitely a fair few high tempo songs that will just get you rocking about in your Doc Martens, like Just Too Bloody Stupid, pretty fun titled song there, and also Pathetique, which is one of my favourite songs from the album that tastefully takes a page or two out of the Joy Division post-punk manual. However, the standout of the lot, the king of the lot, has to be I Kiss the Flowers in Bloom, which has the band taking things down a notch, but it's no less impressive. It is just charming, pleasant, uplifting. If you're wanting to just uncover a blast from the past here, you just want to like wipe off all the dirt and soil that's etched into it, then this is definitely one that's worth kind of uncovering and just given a lot of love that I don't think it really quite gets from folk. 1984, the year that unfortunately shares the title of a book mentioned in every Red Pill YouTube video that you've watched, but also the year that Cocteau Twins released arguably their magnum opus. Arguably, I emphasise, because fair few records of theirs could claim that title. Those memes that you've seen about this band, they definitely hold true. A lot of the times you will not know what Elizabeth Fraser is saying, but a lot of the times as well, it's not about what she's saying, but how she goes about saying it. Though I will say, look into the lyrics, they're not filler, they're there for a reason, so please and thank you, go look into them. Lorelei is the standout example of this, maybe my favourite song of that decade, I'm not quite sure, but she has these like rushed gasps, then she has like this upper register chiming, and then she's just droning on top of it. Like all these combined are just like could be a song on its own, just like it's one layer of this sheet of music that already would just be impressive. But then when you've got Robin and Simon's just really lush instrumentals like on top, just on top of that, constantly kind of like floating kind of like back and forth between each other, becoming like the dominant force of it, it's astounding. It really is. It's an absolute slice of heaven. There's no other way to put it. And the good news is that Treasure is pretty much exactly what I described for 41 minutes. It's just heavenly. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's really good. I'm just speechless thinking about it. At this point, at least in Scotland, Scott Hudson is a giant amongst men, a cult legend who, and I don't think ever really knew how much of an impact he had on people. And if he did know that, then it just goes to add to this reputation of him being the most humble motherfucker in Scotland. Midnight Organ Fight is just all of Frightened Rabbit's little quirks and charms distilled. It's just home to some of the best songwriting I've ever heard in all of my puff. The Modern Leper is the opener to this, and I just think you'll really be struggling to find a song from the noughties that really has such passion and lyrical intricacy as well. It will leave your body just feeling, it will just have it jolting, and you'll just be kind of taken aback by just how much emotion that your body is trying to comprehend all at once. And if it was possible for an album to have a genre tag of being emotion or emotional, then the Midnight Organ Fight would just be exactly that. Falling apart, getting better, fantasizing about your demise, feeling both reinvigorated and willed because of your connections with people. I really am struggling to think of an album that I've heard that really just does encompass the human experience quite like the Midnight Organ Fight did. I just really hope that as time goes by, this album starts to gather like an international reputation in the same way that it does have kind of locally. Miss you, Scott. Now, one of the most interesting things about making a video like this and just like really starting to engorge on our country's music is seeing all the little rippling effects that one album can have. Already went on about how Belle and Sebastian have had a huge impact on the world of indie pop, and even the Blue Nile went on to influence, I would say, the biggest rock band on the world at the moment, 1975. Idlewild are definitely a name that I would throw into the sentence like the one I just said there, but it's maybe not one that you're immediately familiar with. When you look at the bands that they went on to influence, maybe if it came to like phases or even just full-on careers, you start to really just kind of like admire how much of like an impact they did have. A Modern Way of Letting Go is definitely something that I can see inspiring Biffy Clyro when it came to their kind of late noughties, early 2010s kind of like punk gusto, and then you've got American English that just when you hear the opening few seconds of that, there's no two ways about it, this definitely had some sort of impact on Frightened Rabbit. These songs do stand on their own. I'm only really mentioning how important they are just to get you enticed a little bit. It's just really unfair how Idlewild never really seemed to jump on that indie rock cultural zeitgeist that a lot of their contemporaries did. They never like seemed to get as much attention as they did either. I think if they released this album a few years later, we could be talking about a really different band. Like, it could be a different timeline altogether. So please don't let this one fall through the cracks again. Give it a go and see what you make of it. I was really quite spoiled for choice when it came to choosing an album from Mogwai. I knew I wanted to mention them on this list, and when looking at their discography, so many of their records, like virtually all of them, hold some sort of claim to be included on an essential list. But when it came to, and I took some time, it was definitely their 2003 album that I found myself gravitating towards. Every other album that I've mentioned here always seems to be quite instantly gratifying. It doesn't take too long for you to really get a lot of appreciation for it, but I think Mogwai always perform best when they're kind of just getting you in bit by bit, laying out each domino very intricately, and then kind of leaving you to guess whether or not they're actually going to just like kick it all down and let it go out in a big beautiful climax of noise and whatnot. Stop Coming to My House, the closer on here, definitely is embodying that mantra. But Kids Will Be Skeletons, that's one that seems like it's going to go down that direction, and it blue balls you a bit, and you might find that sort of underwhelming, anticlimactic, but I think it actually is quite effective. It leaves you so susceptible to all the further details that come in, all the noise and feedback and whatnot. You're so sensitive to it that it stands out as being one of the best songs on the whole album, despite the fact that it never really kind of closes off in this tremendous fashion. It really does go to show that sometimes kind of like less is more. If you're a fan of Explosions in the Sky and for some reason Mogwai is pass you by, then yeah, you'll definitely be all over this. But if you're not aware of either, then just strap yourself in and blast off into a world of just tremendous post-rock. Walk around Scotland's big cities, follow the recommended guidelines, and you'll probably find all the necessary viewings of the cultural hotspots. But once you stray off that beaten path, you're going to find Scotland's true identity. And I feel that's kind of like the ultimate metaphor for Sophie's kind of debut product. Just so much heart to this album, especially for talking about Bip, which is just one of the finest cuts of wonky and bubblegum bass. It leaves me breathless whenever I listen to it. I cannot fathom how you can make a song with all this artificialness that still comes off as sounding so raw and human and organic. It is just, yeah, astounding. Sophie did go on to release her debut studio album, Oil of Every Pearl's Uninsides, which ended up being one of my favourite albums of last year. Totally deserving of the praise, and is probably the reason why you're probably already aware of Sophie. But I do think Product is a release that will fall off the radar for a lot of people, mainly because there's not really like a technical release of it on Spotify. It's just in playlists and stuff. But go out your way and get onto it, because it's definitely the oldest release on this list. But I don't think it's any less deserving of your attention.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
While I was very, very tempted to put Cocoa Sugar on this list, it's still a young pup. It will probably still get a lot of attention from you guys, either because you loved it last year or because you've discovered it recently because of end year lists. And I really do perish the thought that White Men Are Black Men 2 might fall out of consciousness or just get ignored by some people because of that. Dead was a solid start for Young Fallers, and actually I think the tape 1 and tape 2 that preceded it are actually better. But it wasn't until their 2015 sophomore album where everything just clicked. Still Running has these really fuzzy guitars that are they just feel so energetic, and then you've got the cutesy little percussion, and by the end of the song it just all culminates in this great climax of chamber pop and rock. It had my jaw on the floor when I first heard it, and it still does now every time I hear it. And that's just the opener. That's something that I would kind of expect by like the tail end of the album when it's really trying to make an impression of you. But no, there's no waiting about, there's no filler, right into it, and it's just bloody great. This album just never taps the brakes in terms of quality. It's constantly juggling all these different genres. It's got this cauldron bubbling at all times. Indie-tronica, neo-soul, R&B, noise pop, hip-hop. It's just doing a whole lot, and it's never half-arsed in it. We're not even talking about the lyrical component yet, which is also really chunky. You could write a whole bloody dissertation on this album alone. We're talking about race, you're talking about materialism, you're talking about abuse of power, you're talking about class consciousness as well, which is something that I remember in a Clash interview, I think it was, where they were talking about how they made sure that Shame just sounded just perfect on like the tiniest of earphones, which I hope it could be true. I've not checked that yet, but I thought that was a really cool point, especially because Shame's like the biggest song on here, other than Rain or Shine or maybe Old Rock and Roll. It's a really cool point, and I've just always liked this album, but with each subsequent year I've loved it more and more, to the point now where it's my second favourite album of 2015. I do find it absolutely just mind-boggling how an act can release 2 albums in the space of 3 years and make both of them 10 out of 10s. Just perfect music in my eyes and ears. I love this album so much, and hopefully that's enough merit for you guys to, if you've not already listened to it, or you've listened to Cocoa Sugar and you've not really felt the need to go back to any of their previous stuff, please do. You will not be disappointed. But there you have it, my 10 essential Scottish albums, 10 albums that you should hear now. Just give some of them a go. Let me know what you make of them, and also let me know what ones you would put on a list like this if it was your own selection. I will leave you guys with this: go support your local artists, go out your way, go to a gig that's like £3 and you're not doing anything that night and you just think, fuck it, I'll go to it. That's what I did one night. I went to see the Belafonte, got a t-shirt on just now, and just support the music that you guys want to hear more of as well. There's a lot of music that I'm indifferent to, and sometimes I can get really bogged down in that and get a bit sort of kind of meh on the Scottish local scene, as it were. But I do know there's plenty of acts that I do like out there that are doing a plethora of different things, and where there's indifference, there's excitement, there's boundary breaking, there's good music. There's always good music out there, so be sure to spend your money and put your money where your mouth is. Just go out your way and have a great time. And if you're a local artist, just keep trying and just keep doing what you're doing, and I'm sure it will pay off in some regard. But thank you guys for watching. Love you all very much. I'll see you soon. As always, take care, stay safe, and stay hydrated.